The empty bed in room 314. It wasn't supposed to be scary, just a routine night shift at St. Jude's Memorial, checking vitals and refilling water pitchers. But something about the old West Wing always felt off, even to seasoned nurses like Sarah and me. The flickering overhead lights cast long, spidery shadows that danced across the aging linoleum floor. It started with the call light. Room 314, occupied by Mrs. Abernathy, a sweet old lady with chronic bronchitis. Sarah, bless her heart, volunteered to take it. 5 minutes later, she bursts back into the nurse's station, face pale. "There's no one in there," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "The bed is empty." We exchanged a worried glance. Mrs. Abernathy, despite her condition, wasn't one to wander. We checked the bathroom, the common area, and even peeked into the janitor's closet. Nothing. My unease was turning into full-blown dread. The old tales about the West Wing, whispers of a restless spirit roaming the halls, resurfaced in my mind. Suddenly, the call light from 314 buzzed again. We stared at it, hearts pounding. Sarah, more courageous than I felt at that moment, grabbed a flashlight and headed back. I followed, clinging to her coattails like a scared child. The room was still empty, the bed untouched, but on the floor, illuminated by the flashlight beam, lay a single white rose, fresh with a single drop of crimson dew glistening on its center petal. We both gasped. It wasn't Mrs. Abernathy's favorite flower, and none of us had seen any roses in the hospital that day. We found Mrs. Abernathy later, peacefully asleep in the adjoining room, room 313. When we told her about the empty bed and the rose, she just smiled serenely. Oh, that must have been Mary. She liked to leave white roses for the patients sometimes. Mary, of course, had been a nurse at St. Jude's decades ago, who tragically passed away in the very same room, 314. Sarah and I never spoke of that night again. The disappearing toys in Dr. Chen's ward. I wasn't a believer in the supernatural, not until my night shift at the pediatric wing of Bayside General. Dr. Chen, a kind and dedicated doctor, was in charge of the oncology ward, a place filled with brave kids fighting for their lives. One night, I was assigned to the room of a young girl named Lily. She had a collection of stuffed animals lined up on her windowsill, each one named and cherished. During my rounds, I noticed one of the smaller ones, a fluffy blue bunny named Patches, was missing. I figured it must have fallen on the floor, so I knelt down to search. There was nothing under the bed, no trace of the toy anywhere. Puzzled, I asked Lily if she knew where Patches might be. She simply shook her head, her big brown eyes filled with confusion. Thinking nothing more of it, I continued my rounds. Later that night, I returned to Lily's room to find another toy missing. This time, it was a brown teddy bear named Mr. Snuggles. Again, I searched high and low, even checking the nurse's station, but the bear was gone. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. The final occurrence was the most unsettling. Around 3 a.m., I heard the soft sound of a child's laughter coming from Lily's room. I peeked in to see her sitting up in bed, giggling as she played with a familiar blue bunny, Patches. Relief washed over me, but then I realized something chilling. Patches was still missing. The bunny in Lily's hand wasn't the soft, worn toy I remembered. It was a perfect replica, pristine and brand new. Lily, oblivious, continued to play. My heart hammered in my chest. I quickly excused myself and rushed to Dr. Chen's office, desperate to tell him what happened. He listened patiently, his face etched with concern. Then he revealed a secret that sent shivers down my spine. The previous year, a young boy had passed away in Lily's very room. His favorite toy, a blue bunny named Patches. That night, I never went back to Lily's room. The Lost Patient and the Forgotten Floor. Working nights at Elmwood Sanatorium, a sprawling Victorian-era mental health facility, always came with an extra dose of eeriness. The place had a history of neglect, its once grand halls now echoing with the whispers of a forgotten past. One night, while walking the long, dimly lit corridors of the second floor, I experienced a chilling encounter that still sends shivers down my spine. It started with a call from the nurses' station. They had a missing patient, a young woman named Emily Jones, who had wandered away from her room. I volunteered to help, a sense of foreboding settling in my gut. The third floor, unlike the others, felt eerily quiet, the air thick with dust and an undeniable sense of abandonment. As I searched the empty rooms, each with its peeling wallpaper and cobweb-damped corners, I felt an unsettling presence. It wasn't the cold or the creaking floorboards. It was something more, a feeling of being watched. The calls of my name from the nurse's station became increasingly faint, replaced by a silence that pressed in on me like a physical weight. Suddenly, I heard a faint whimper coming from a room at the end of the corridor. Relief flooded me as I rushed towards it, hoping to find Emily. But the room was empty, the dusty bed untouched. As I turned to leave, my eyes caught a single word scrawled in faded red paint on the peeling wall. Lost. Panic surged through me. I realized I had never seen this room before, a hidden nook swallowed by the sprawling labyrinth of the third floor. Just as I was about to retrace my steps, I heard it again, the whimper closer this time. It seemed to be coming from behind the wall. Terror froze me in place. My rational mind screamed it was just an old building settling, but the primal fear clawing its way through me wouldn't be silenced. I stumbled back, my breath caught in my throat, and fled the room, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I never found Emily Jones, and the lost room on the third floor vanished as mysteriously as it appeared.